I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
Welcome to a nerve-wracking edition of the Storm Cellar. My nerves are so high right now. I'm so high-strung at this point, Ray, that I'm almost like on overload where like my body's starting to calm down because all my serotonin and dopamine and all those things are just starting to drain out because they've just been on high alert. Game 7 in just a few hours. How are things in Canada?
There's nothing quite like it as far as what Game 7 does to fans. And here in Alberta, thanks to the game last night in Dallas, everyone's on high alert. Everyone's high tension in Alberta. Of course, the Oilers are going to Game 7 this evening along with us. And then tomorrow night, back in Calgary, they'll be having a Game 7. And there's a lot of games. These games are up in the air. Anything can happen in Game 7.
And you got Edmonton, LA.
Yes.
They're a little further from you, but that's kind of a twofer.
Yeah.
And then Toronto Lightning.
Here's a crazy stat that might
Rangers,
scare the hell out of fans of Canadian teams. By the end of the weekend, all the Canadian teams could be out. And that is going to scare the hell out of the folks that love Canadian teams. That's their secondary team. No matter what, if their hockey team can't win, they want a Canadian team to win. We have that a lot. And by the end of this weekend, they could all be gone. A situation that I don't think anyone really thought was legit to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm preambling into, useless facts and Game 7 talk. We're doing all of that in the program, but we got to start at the beginning.
But the Calgary-Dallas matchup in particular, in some ways, is kind of poignant for today, right?
It is. It is fitting for today, and it was one of the questions I had for our guest joining us in the Storm Cellar, Michael Watson. Michael Watson comes to us from Dallas-Fort Worth. How you doing, Mike?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing good, doing well. Thank you for having me on today to chat about some puck. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh! And thank you for joining us.
I need that optimism today, Mike. Thank you.
It's like, yes, that optimism is absolutely fantastic. You've heard the program in the past. You know what's up first. It's Mike's story. We need to find out your history, being a Caniac, being a jerk like the two of us. How did it all come together? Who's your favorite guy? Do you have an all-timer who's different from your favorite? Give us the lowdown. Let's find out about Michael.
How did a Southern guy who wound up in Texas cheer for the Canes? I've never lived in the North, but my mother is from upstate New York, and that's where the story starts. We used to go up with her parents to their farm in upstate New York when I was a wee lad, and my cousin Brian up there was a big hockey fan, and his story was he went to a Binghamton Whalers game at Broome County Memorial Arena. And this was back in the day before they had the nets behind the goals. Caught one to the collarbone, broke his collarbone, and they showered him with all sorts of swag. Yeah, he got sticks and pillows and all this stuff. So he was a Binghamton Whalers fan, and in turn was cheering for Hartford. I never got the Hartford thing. I was a kid from South Carolina, and hockey wasn't my thing. We didn't skate down there. We didn't have ice, any of this stuff. Even at the time in the late 80s, early 90s, the television exposure here in the States wasn't that widespread. And it really wasn't until, 93, 94. I remember the Gretzky run when the Kings made the finals. And then, of course, the famous Rangers run in 94, where ESPN was all over that. And watching along with that sort of got the hook just a little bit as far as, get me interested in the sport, but I didn't really have a team. It was more, hey, I'm playing the video games, I'm playing NHL 94, and I can play with Oates and Neely on Boston, or I got McGillney on Buffalo, or, and just going through the league it was more of a player thing for me. But never really had a team. And then, of course, the Whale moves to Raleigh, or actually Greensboro, in '97. It's like, hey, Carolina has a team now, because I was raised as a Carolina Tar Heels fan by my father. So
Sorry.
Hey, easy now. He's just fine.
I was raised a Tar Heel and went to NC State. I think I may have mentioned before, I was almost excommunicated from the household. But
that's big stuff. I knew I really liked you, Michael. There's the hidden reason why, right there. Go Heels.
And so anyway, the Canes moved to the state, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I can buy in here. Didn't really, and also by this time we weren't living in the Carolinas anymore. My dad was military. We got stationed in Alabama by this time, so we're not even in the state at this point when the Canes come to town. I remember the '99 playoffs, first time the Canes went to the playoff. I don't remember catching much of the games. But I do remember going to the Sports Authority on Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery, and they had a Canes hat, and that was the first bit of Canes merchandise I ever purchased. This would have been like I said, summer '99, and nobody knew. I was shocked that they even had a Carolina Hurricanes hat in the store in Alabama. It was just random.
Sure.
But the '99 team really didn't get me, and I remember the 2001 playoffs where, we were down 3-0 and then, scratched back and got 2 against Jersey and couldn't close it out. And then it was the 2002 team that got me. That, and I know that's a common answer for a lot of fans. But that run through Jersey and Montreal and Toronto, of course, going to the final with Francis and Bates Battaglia, Eric Cole, and of course Rod Brind'amour. That team is the one that hooked me for life. And of course, the next 2 seasons were dreadful. It was a fiasco, and then the lockout happened. 06 comes, and hey, we actually have a pretty good team. And had just come. I had just gotten divorced the prior summer, and that team just sort of gave me hey, I got something extra to look forward to, keep my mind distracted from all the drama and all that stuff. And it turned out, that was a great team, and winds up, making the run, beats Buffalo in 7, beats Edmonton in 7. And, it's one of those deals where I can remember I was still finishing. I was going back to school that summer. And I remember I skipped class the night of the Buffalo game 7. I said, I'm not going to class that night. We're going home. We're watching the Canes go to the finals. And Justin Williams gets the rebound off Miller, to put it away with a minute left, and just a great moment. They make the run to the final, win the cup. Just great stuff. And that summer, bought this sweater, the Brind'amour Stanley Cup sweater. Wore it the night of the Devils game 7 in 09, the night of the Bruins game 7 in 09, and the night of the Capitals game 7 in 19. We're going 4-0. That's what we're shooting for.
There we go.
And
I love that patch too. I was going to comment on your sweater.
So me too.
I'm looking at my 06 championship hat with the same. I love that patch with the red and the blue and the cup in the middle, and that's a really cool, I think, accoutrement.
Absolutely. And then I said wound up, and after 2009, wound up moving to Texas. Sort of nurtured a relationship online with a couple other hockey fans who wound up doing their own podcast for a while. But the Canes just went into the basement. It was just so frustrating to see them just constantly like. And one of the guys on that podcast was like, well, the underlying stats are great for Carolina. They're going to break through. Look out for the Corsi. I'm like, what's this guy talking about? I have no idea. So anyway, those two guys and I went to Vegas in 2015, and we brought our wives with us, and it was like, okay, one night's going to be hockey night. It's going to be hockey night in Vegas, where the hashtag is going to be NHL to Vegas. We're all going to wear our hockey sweaters. So there's 6 of us. We all got a different team on. And there's people walking around. Is there a hockey convention going on tonight? we were the only ones, stupid enough to be walking around Vegas in hockey sweaters. And slowly but surely, the Corsi did finally break for the Canes, make the playoffs in 2019, and everybody's back on board, and it's good times, and hopefully it will be good times a little while longer this summer.
No question.
I gotta say, I commend your friends. I don't know how long they stuck around their podcast, but to have a hockey podcast for a team like that through, up to like 9 years, that's. I like at some point I don't know what we talk about, Ray. I mean, I tend to be I kind of consider myself like an optimistic realist,
Yeah.
Like during the game, everybody I think already has learned, like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, just ignore what I say if it's too high or too low, because it's just emotion. The next day, if you ask me, I'll tell you. I tend to say this is realistic, but I even today, like I think we're gonna win this game, but it's a game 7, all bets are off.
Yeah.
But after, 2 or 3 years of, and it's not like those teams were always necessarily close, right? I mean, some of those years were pretty bad. At some point you got to be like, yeah.
You and I are
not
cut
quite
from the same cloth in that regard too, Brad. Like the emotions just run, and you get crazy about certain hits that you think are illegal, and just the whole, every cliche you can tie to fans and how they view the game and what perspective they view the game until afterwards, and then you actually get a chance to come down and you start thinking about it. That optimistic realist is a great phrase for it, Brad. That's a great way to cover. Mike, we need to, before we move on, I got to find out all time and who's your guy right now, unless they're both the same.
Brind'amour's my guy. I absolutely fell in love with Rod Brind'amour, that 2006 run. The way he led that team and willed that team to not just the final, but to the cup itself, is just unbelievable. And my wife to this day says, I don't know what you said. What's the deal? I said that's the best looking man in hockey. The gray spot on the hair, it's just fantastic. I love it. I love everything about the man, the way he carries himself, the way he leads the team, his demeanor, the whole thing. And it shows in his coaching style the way it did as he led on the ice. I absolutely love Rod Brind'amour. He will be my guy till I die. Right now, it's hard not to love Sebastian Aho and just everything he brings to the team, the talent, the skill, and the way he's a quiet leader. He's not the in your face guy, but he leads by example, things like that. Trying to take after Jordan Staal, who's there were some questions about, could Staal be an effective captain? When they gave him the C a few years back, they did the whole weird thing where they split the captainship between him and Falk, and it was just weird. It was like, is this really going to work? And I think Justin Williams coming back and just sort of giving him, passing the torch, I guess you can say, to, hey, you really can be the guy. And he's been fantastic the last few seasons. I commend Jordan Staal for that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the continued evolution of Andrei Svechnikov, because I think he is going to be a superstar. And I think we saw a very, very impressive leap in his game this year after he was, ineffective, sort of, not ineffective, but inconsistent the last 2 seasons. I think his game went to another level this year. And I'm looking forward to the next few years seeing where it can go and how high it can go, because I think that kid is going to be an absolute superstar.
Awesome. This is going to be a great episode, Brad. I love the guests that we have. It's
something Mike just said made me think of, it's been since probably around 2005, 2006. Brind'amour was asked about his nose, and he's made some, it's Brind'amour. He's kind of like, maybe when my career's over, then I'll get it fixed. I love the fact that he hasn't.
It's great.
A, it feels very Brind'amour, and B, he wouldn't be Brind'amour without, the tough, that little patch of white hair, the nose could have been broken a few times, but I just remember him being like, I'll fix that when I'm done playing. And then he's like, no, this is just me.
He is who he is, and he leads by example, and you just love everything about Rod. I couldn't agree more. Excellent choices here. So here we are. Game 7, a scant 4 hours and 45 minutes away. and we've got things to discuss. Now, fans can be nervous about game sevens, and they always are. There's lots of, there's just unpredictability. That's really what it is. You never know what's one bad pass or a puck bounce off of a
pipe,
extension.
right? Half inch left, it's in, half inch right, it's out.
Yeah,
game
exactly.
7 is so stressful.
So crazy. But I have, for the fans of the Hurricanes, take heart. I have some useless facts for you that might help you feel better about this situation. Number one.
I love useless facts.
There we go. Useless facts. Useless fact number one. The Hurricanes have never lost a game 7 in the playoffs.
Woo, woo.
Ever. Not once. Exactly. They've won 5. Now, for guys like me, that stat doesn't feel as good because Brad knows, and Michael's listened to the show, he knows I was a Whalers fan. And to me, I go all the way back. And sadly, I can't just look at those 5 because the Whalers were 0-3 in game 7s. So I take all of that history together, but I know that in the move from Hartford to Raleigh, we purged the bad luck of game 7s completely, and now we're moving on. And
I think they left that maybe in New Jersey, Virginia.
Somewhere. Yes, they
Maryland,
absolutely.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe they left them there for sure.
5-3 in game 7s all time in franchise history.
Yeah.
5 wins in a row.
5 wins in a row. One of which happened, another useless fact coming, on this very day 13 years ago against this afternoon's opponent. Man, I love this. Scott Walker scores in overtime to beat the Boston Bruins. It was in Boston, it wasn't in Raleigh this time, and it was glorious. So there's some weird kismet. Again, it's a useless fact. No one from the 2009 team outside of Rod Brind'amour is on this squad. However, it's something to feel good about. If you're looking for superstitious mojo type things to feel good about going in, that's what I provide for the fans to perhaps ease the tension a little bit.
I can still remember he scores that goal. He goes straight to the glass behind the net, double fist bump right in everybody's face. And I mean, what a moment for Scotty Walker. I mean, he became, a Hurricanes legend, somewhat of his own.
Yes.
Just based upon that one goal, right?
On that one goal, and when it happened too, because of what was going on in his own personal life. And Brad, you had that
his wife had, as I recall, had just recently been diagnosed with cervical cancer. Man. And she wanted him to play. He wanted to be there for his teammates. I mean, the drive, the emotion that, sometimes we don't see it in these guys.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be a knock, particularly on like European players way back in the day. Like they don't show emotion. They just, they're just out there like robots, and they may not show us as fans, but they're all going through it, right? I mean, certainly, they may not have the kind of external pressure Scotty Walker was going through, but it's there. Like they want to win. I mean, Svechnikov was telling Sarah Sivian, like, no problem. Saturday in Raleigh Wood, 4:30. Sounds good. We got this. Sounds calm and collected, but you got to know the whole team has got to be psyched for this. I mean, if you can't get up for a game 7 at home against the Bruins,
yeah,
why are you playing hockey?
Oh.
And everybody on our team should be playing hockey. So I expect everybody will be up for this one.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. It's Canes and Bruins in game 7. What I'd like to know is how the hell we got here. I don't think like I expected a tough series, but I thought that the Hurricanes were going to be able to at least win one game in Boston and close this series out in 6. They're the better team. They're the better squad. They maybe don't have the high-end players when you look at, and it sucks saying this, Marchand and Bergeron are maybe a touch more talented as far as when you put that past that perfection line that they have together. That's a superstar lineup, right? And we don't necessarily have that yet, although I think we're on our way there. But we have a stronger team in depth throughout. How did it not happen? And Mike, I want to get your take. We're here in Game 7. What was your take on the series itself? Are you pleased? Are you disappointed? Where are you at?
I'm somewhere in between. And you talk about, Marchand and Bergeron. Let's be those guys are Hall of Famers. Those guys are really, really good, and they have been down these roads again and again and again. Their names are etched on the Stanley Cup, and they've earned it. They've been there, they've done it. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. They just have had the capability just to make plays, especially in Boston. The matching lines has obviously been an issue in this series. Aho has barely seen those guys in Raleigh. They completely shut him down in Boston. Aho was invisible in Boston for 3 games. Because of that, I expect a big game out of number 20 today. I think he's going to show up big time and make a huge play or two to swing this game for Carolina. And obviously the other story is special teams. It's just been so frustrating, especially in Boston, that the Canes power play just cannot get things going whatsoever. And Boston has been able to. Those you put the pieces back together. You put Pasternak back with 63 and Bergeron, and they make plays. They've been playing together for 10, 12 years now, and again, been up and down the road together. They believe in each other, and they have those reps. And you can't put a value. It's an intangible thing you cannot put together. They've been down the road, and Carolina still has to. They've got to catch those reps up. Maybe today they can put that demon in the past. It felt like after Game 1 and Game 2, I compared it. It was such a dominant effort, especially in the second and third periods of Game 1 and Game 2. It felt a lot like when the Chicago Bulls finally beat the Pistons in '91. It just knocked no more bully ball, none of the stuff. We're the better team. We're going to show you. And it felt like after Game 2, the Canes had turned a corner. Not quite. They weren't quite there yet. But this series should have been over Tuesday night. The Canes had Game 4 right there for the taking, up 2-1. No McAvoy, no Lindholm, and they self-inflicted wounds in Game 4 are why we're here the next weekend playing Game 7 in Raleigh. I think the Canes are in a good position to take this series. It's win or go home. They're favored. They're favored for a reason, but they've got to go out and do it. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of effort the good guys bring today.
You nailed it. I mean, with McAvoy and Lindholm out, you have to attack those guys. One of the things I want to see them to continue doing they did in Game 5 was continue throwing people at McAvoy. He had COVID. He was gassed. He played 23 or 28 minutes on Game 5 and looked absolutely exhausted. I mean, it looked like I was out there and played 4 minutes. I mean, he was breathing heavy. He was having trouble getting up and down the ice a little bit. You got to take advantage of that. And a lot of people have talked about it. We want to talk about a little bit. I've never seen a series in which last change and getting the matchup you wanted has been so critical. And it shows you how good the third line is. That stall line has been able to just completely, keep their top line, that perfection line, or even when they split them up, completely just shut them down. I think Marchand in Carolina, has an assist, and that's it. I think he's a -2 with an assist. If I haven't looked in a couple of days, I think that's correct for the 3 games in Raleigh. That's huge. Versus you look at what he's done in Boston, where he's putting up, multi-point nights every night. So the Canes should win this. They should have already won this. I mean, the Bruins are no joke, right? Every team in the East scored 100 points. So it wasn't ever going to be a cakewalk. But if I'm not a Carolina fan and I try and take off the rose-tinted glasses, if you say who's the better team, You know, if today is day one of the regular season and you say these are the guys, I would pick Carolina and say they just have too much top end skill. The Bruins have two of the best players of the last decade, but the Hurricanes have 5 or 6 guys who can all put the puck. I mean, if you look at the stats, the Bruins have a couple of guys who were putting in goals, and the Hurricanes, for the last month or so, have 9 guys who can put points in. Our leading scorers right now are Slavin and D'Angelo. So the forwards need to pick it up, right? I mean, this is your time. I mean, it's not like, we're opening our window to win a Stanley Cup. This isn't, I would say this is probably our second year. I think last year they just ran into a Lightning team that they just weren't physical. They didn't understand at that age how playoff hockey really worked. I think this is our second year of our window. You could say it's the first really good year of our window. So the window's open, but the Bruins window is shutting. So shut it. Shut the door on them. You need to close them down. You need to get that first goal, right? The power play was 40% at home for Game 5. It needs to be 40% again. It needs to be 30%. It cannot disappear in the playoffs for like the third consecutive year. Right now, I'm looking at it. The Bruins penalty kill is at 84.8%, and ours at 78.6%. That's not our penalty kill. Now, some of that's because we're giving them 9 and 10 opportunities and they're taking advantage of them, right? But, our power play has to be better. Our penalty kill has to be better. And a lot of that is just don't take bad penalties. Stay out of the box.
You're leading into something that, Brad, that I'm going to jump in here.
Please.
As far as playoff success goes in the NHL, this is going to sound cliche, but there are always 3 aspects that a team needs to have in order to succeed in the playoffs. Number 1, you need goaltending. Your goaltending is key. If you don't have the goaltending, you're not going anywhere. Number 2, you need secondary scoring. You can't get all of your scoring from one line. It has to come throughout the lineup, contributions everywhere. And number 3, special teams. If you put all of those things together, if your penalty kill is taking care of the mistakes that the players make that put them in the box and kill them off without allowing goals, if you can make the other team suffer for their mistakes and capitalizing, especially on 5-on-3s, guys, 5-on-3s, those goals have to be scored. And what we've seen in this entire play, in this series specifically, is on those nights, that's exactly what happened. The goaltending, Ranta and Kochetkov, they haven't been bad. I don't want to say it, just Swayman and the other goaltenders were better. That's it. It's just a matter of who played better in those situations. The secondary scoring. Look at Game 6. Who scored all of their goals? Howla got the game winner. For the one defender, front. What's his name? Defenseman. Forbert. That's, well, yeah. I mean, he's a guy that's blocking shots all the bloody time, and he actually went out and scored a goal. I mean, the Bruins got the scoring throughout their lineup. That's why they were able to pick up the win, So what we need is the contributions in Game 7. We need it to come throughout the lineup, everyone pulling on the rope in the same direction. And, I throw all those cliches out and but that's really what needs to happen in this one. And I think, the one X factor in all of this will be the fans. I mean, the fans are going to be able to really put the energy into the guys. I was thinking about this before we started the program, and I was going to say, I put the word out to our fans and ask them to replicate what they did in Game 7 against the Oilers, which is you purchased a seat, but you don't need to use it.
Absolutely. I've already seen social media like, we're all standing, right? It's like,
you stand throughout that entire game, please, and you give it everything you got. I want, throat lozenges being big sales after the games. I want no
bring your
voices.
Earplugs.
Bring your earplugs. Yeah, for the kids. Seriously, just let them have it and be that sixth skater on the ice throughout the whole game. You guys can do this. I'm asking you as a favor, stand up and cheer for me. I would be there standing if I could. Do that for me. Let's get this win.
I will be pacing my living room almost certainly the whole game.
There's no question.
I looked it up to confirm. Every game in the series, except for Game 3, the winner got 5 goals and the loser got 1 or 2. Like all of these have been really lopsided, right? Game 3 was 4-2, which is less lopsided, but I mean, it's not like any of these have been a 1-goal game with a minute to go and you're pulling the goalie, right? Like these have all been. Brad Marchand in Raleigh has 1 assist and was I think it was a -4.
Wow.
Brad Marchand in Boston has put up 10 points in 3 games.
That's
so in my mind, going back to the last change argument, shut down Marchand and the Bruins will follow. Because if he has a 2 or 3 point night, it's going to be a long day for the Canes. But so far, you have effectively shut him out completely in Carolina. If you can keep Marchand off the score sheet today, I don't think there's a way the Bruins can win. I don't think they have enough other talent at this point and where they are to do that. I mean, you got Bergeron, you got Matt, you got guys who can score, don't get me wrong. But Marchand is what's driving that engine, right? That he's driving that team. When he puts up 10 points in Boston, they win 3 easy games. When he puts up 1 point in 3 games in Carolina, they lose 3 games big time. Shut down Marchand. Swayman. So Allmark had a 4.16 goals against, replaced with Swayman. Swayman's been in there at a 2.51. People are going to say, either way, people are going to make the comparison between Raanta and Anderson. Ronta's given you 2.46 goals a game with a .926 save percentage. If Anderson gave me that, I couldn't complain. Goes 2-2. You can't complain. I mean, if I hear anybody say goaltending's been the issue, I never provoke things on social media. I will sometimes respond more than I should. But if you say goaltending's been an issue, we're having words because you got to watch the game. Now, we've had some defensive issues, but Raanta has given you everything that you would expect Anderson to have given you. Would you expect Anderson to come in and give you like a .935 or something? I wouldn't, in the playoffs, holy smokes, no way. Right? Would you expect Anderson to keep it below, 2.46 goals a game? You might think that, but in the playoffs, I think it's unrealistic. So I don't think that Anderson could have given you any better outing than Raanta's have given you so far, than Raanta's given you. So in my mind, NHL, ESPN, the 3 keys to the game. I have 1 key. Shut down Marchand. If you can do that, you win. If you can't do that, coin flip.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
I know you want to jump in. Yeah.
Ray talked about the crowd. I want to go back to the crowd because that's going to be massive today. That building is going to be electric. I want to know how the crowd reacts if the Canes get the first power play and it peters out. How does the fans will have to keep that momentum? They cannot lose hope because we get a power play that is underwhelming again. It's the power play has been inconsistent for a lot of the season, and now it's really hit a rut here. If we get an early power play and cash in on it, it's on. I think if the Canes can strike first, especially with a special teams goal, I think the fans can carry them the rest of the way. On the flip side, how do the fans react if Boston gets on the board early? Who gets the first goal is going to be massive, and it is on the crowd to keep the energy all game long. Ray said it. Y'all are there. get on your feet for 60 minutes and scream your lungs out. Because if I were there, I'd be doing it. You have to scream for the guys like us that can't be there. And I expect the Caniacs to be massive today. It's going to be a great, great atmosphere.
Oh man, it's going to be exciting. And that leads us into the perhaps around the league discussion. We'll circle back to Canes Bruins predictions and stuff like that, but let's take a look around the league, and especially looking at tonight. We've got 3 Game 7s tonight, and we've got, is it 2 tomorrow or 1 tomorrow? Just 1 tomorrow, I think. Let's take a quick look at them.
2 tomorrow.
Go ahead, Brad. 2
You
tomorrow.
have 2
It is
tomorrow.
2 tomorrow.
Pittsburgh Rangers.
That's
Dallas and Calgary.
This is what the hockey fans tell all of the other sport fans around them what they're missing. You guys are missing some amazing stuff when you can have 5 Game 7s in the first round. I mean, that's just fantastic, and the excitement is going to be right at the top. We've touched on our game. Let's get into it here. We'll start with the second game of tonight's card, which is the Leafs and the Lightning. And Brad, you've said you can't watch any of the games, the blue and white. It's making you nuts. Your head's going to blow up. I understand. It's making Leaf fans' heads explode all on its own based on what happened, because they had that opportunity to put them away in Tampa. Tampa refuses to lose after they've been beaten. They're 17-0 in the last, I don't how long?
That's
when they
crazy.
lose a game, they never lose back-to-back games. The good news is the Lightning won in game 6, so everything's off, right? Like that stat is meaningless now. And the Leafs have a chance to exercise a demon in getting out of the first round. The problem is they are in Toronto. And being in Toronto with that type of pressure, I worry for the Leafs. And while my wife is a Leafs fan, I have to be very careful about how much I say. I don't know if she's listening. I picked the Lightning to win this series. I think that still may be the situation, but we're keeping that quiet. I want a healthy, happy, safe household. So if the Leafs could win, that'll be great. But I'm still picking the Lightning. Okay, keep that secret, guys. Okay, thanks.
I looked up my predictions. I wrote them down and put them in a tweet so I could hold myself accountable. I originally said Lightning over Leafs in 6. That's gone. It's 7 games. Anything can happen. We have a lot of people who follow the show who I like, who also pull for the Leafs as like a second team or a third team. Yep. Courtney Dagger, who's been on the program, is one of those folks. I can't believe I'm saying this. I hope the Leafs put them away tonight. I don't want them to win the cup. Don't get me. I'm not crazy. I haven't lost my mind. I hope that they put the Lightning away. I hope that they just dominate them tonight. Give that Toronto, give friends of the show something to just be ecstatic about. Because why not? And I mean, I know people want the Battle of Florida, but Florida Toronto, I think, would be just a dynamite, high-scoring series to watch. So I'm not. My prediction came wrong, right? Lightning over Leafs in 6. It becomes 7. Then I'm right in that aspect. But I'm kind of backtracking a little bit. Leafs fans, I'm pulling for you. Win.
There you go.
I'd be win. And
well, there's not much more you can say, really. Like for a team that has not won a cup since '67, my wife was 24 hours old. I used to tease her that the Leafs have never won the cup in her lifetime. And she said, no, not true. I was born 24 hours before they won the cup that year. So I want to see her happy. I want to see the Leaf fans happy for sure. Mike, what's your take on that series? It's been crazy.
This is Shakespearean level stuff in this.
Isn't it?
Let's be real. I mean, all of the weight of Toronto, the Maple Leafs, Canada, to bring a Stanley Cup back to the center of the universe. and to do that, to make that next step, they have to go through the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions who have all the pedigree you could ask for in a hockey team in the NHL. And the Leafs have to stare that in the face at home for 3 periods tonight. And they have to beat that to win a playoff series for the first time in forever and take what is probably the best team that the Leafs have had in 20 years to the next level.
Yep.
That said, Game 6 was tremendous. The drama was off the charts. And there is something very romantic about the defending champs, especially a 2-time defending champ, getting off the mat, tying the game late with a 5-on-3 goal. I wish Carolina could score a 5-on-3 goal.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't we? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea of a back-to-back champ scrapping and clawing to stay on top is everything you love about sports. Is that it really means something that you have to kill them to put them away, and that's where that's the level the Lightning have gotten to, and that the Leafs have to be the ones to do it in Game 7 in Toronto with all the pressure in the world. 67. I can't do the math, but it's a lot of years. Yeah. And now the Leafs have to deal with that tonight. This is tremendous level stuff, and I cannot. It's unfortunate that it went to 7 because I would have rather had the primetime game tonight as a Canes fan.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that this is the marquee event of the triple header today, and I'm afraid I'm pulling for the Leafs, but I have a bad feeling that this is going to end disastrously for Toronto, and yeah, it's going to be super fun to watch. I hope I'm in a good mood when that game starts, not a bad mood, so I can enjoy it a little bit more. It's
I hear you.
You're right. The good news is, by the time that game starts, hopefully I'll be in a good enough mood that I really don't care who wins anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
It's hockey.
We can enjoy other people's misery and tension. Man, I remember feeling like those fans did a little while back. Oh, yeah. You brought the fire on that one, Michael. That was fantastic. Let's move closer to my neck of the woods. It's the Oilers and the Kings squaring off in a Game 7. I did not see the Kings getting this far against the Oilers. Brad did. Brad that's why he's the brains of the operation.
I'm looking like May 4th, Kings over Oilers in 7 is what I read right there. It's on Twitter.
There it is.
Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams wins a Stanley Cup with the LA Kings. Little connection there. Yes, there is. Also, maybe. I don't like Evander Kane. There's another reason to pull for the Kings.
Hey, he not only won the Stanley, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy with the Kings.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So we have a Jay Willie connection. I don't like Evander Kane, and I want to prove to the league that having 2 phenomenal superstars who I like to watch them play individually, but that is not how you build a team. Yeah. I do not want to see that propagate elsewhere. For all those reasons, I am sticking by my prediction. Kings win today. I don't know what going back to Shakespeare, I don't know what the Deus Ex Machina is going to be. If it'll be like a penalty with 3 minutes to go and the Kings put in a power play goal to win or something. Something's going to happen, and the Kings are going to put the Oilers away today. I feel a lot better about that series than any other series.
Isn't it? It just, to me, it was shocking. I can't remember exactly what my prediction is, but I thought, this was the one opponent that the Oilers would be able to handle because of the firepower that they have. If they were able to jump on Jonathan quickly, they could take the Kings right out of the game early. And on the games that they won, they boat raced the Kings. They've got the ability to do that, but I look at this, and Edmonton's another pressure cooker. I mean, it's not Toronto level because necessarily because Toronto is almost a national. I mean, there's Leafs fans everywhere you go, and that pressure is there. Edmonton's more regionalistic in that sense, but the spotlight is just as bright. And they have struggled mightily with these amazing players who can't seem to get them over the hump. They got swept last season. And they look at the Kings and they say, we can do this. This is like one that we should be able to win. The Kings have played great. This was a surprise season for the Kings. I don't think anyone, like, they just really played fantastic hockey, and they continue to do so. I think the Oilers can come through this, but you know what? To me, it comes down to Mike Smith. It's Mike Smith. And does that give anyone confidence at this point? When he's on, he is great. But when he's off, he's giving pucks away, and he's just terrible. And what happens if the Kings score that first goal? What happens? I don't know. The fans are going to be rabid. The fans in the Rogers Center, the fans are going to be nuts. They're going to blow the roof off the place. They're going to be great. There's no question of that. But boy, oh boy, they better be on point. And Smith had better bring his A game, because they'll be on the outside looking in, and there'll be some big changes in Edmonton. If they can't get it done today, there'll be big changes in Edmonton in the very near future. You mark my words.
I think that I think Smith does bring his A game today. I think he's going to show up big time, and I think the smoke and mirrors run here for the Kings is over. I don't expect Edmonton to advance beyond the next round, but I do think they're going to win today. I think McDavid and Draisaitl will show up big time. Somebody's getting a hat trick. I just don't know who yet. One of them showing up big time. I'm calling the shot. There's going to be a hat trick in Edmonton, and the Oilers are going to win.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Let's move.
Real quick before you move, just you mentioned the pressure. A lot of people don't know. I didn't know. I looked it up. There are almost as many people in the city of Toronto as there are in all of Alberta, Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, Toronto's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, kind of a big place with
kind of a
many. Yeah.
I don't know. We were doing useless facts earlier. Now the next time somebody asks you, "Hey, do you know who has more people, Toronto or Alberta?" You can say, "Yeah, it's Toronto."
There you go.
By a little less than 1 million people.
And I got to say, Mike made a great statement earlier that I thought only Canadians said or thought, and that Toronto was the center of the universe. I thought Canadians only, made that joke and stuff. Like, it looks like that reputation gets down into Texas as well.
That's one of my best friends being from the greater Toronto area, which could be 50 miles outside of Toronto or 1,000 miles outside of Toronto. So that's what it is. And it is. They're the New York Yankees of hockey. So that's where the media is, and they're looking for it.
There it is. So let's move into tomorrow's game sevens. Both equally exciting, both crazy. Let's go with the Rangers against the Penguins. This one is so Zibanejad shows up last night and pulls the team through. They did it against a team that has not their best goaltender, and certainly not their best player. Crosby out of the lineup on the hit by Trouba. Very quick survey, just a yes or no from my cellar dwellers here. The hit on Crosby, dirty, clean, yes or no? Like, what was your take? Punishable, do you think?
I honestly, I'd have to see it again, because I keep thinking about the one in the Dallas Flames. Like, whenever I try to think of it, I think of the hit last night. But I will say that Pittsburgh without Crosby is a whole. I mean, whether the hit was legal or not, let's put it this way, it served its purpose. I mean, I'd have to look at it. I'll try to look at it right now, actually.
Sure. Mike, what's your take?
The only angle I saw of it was inconclusive for me. I couldn't get a good view on exactly how much of the elbow Trouba got into it. If he got his stick hung up, it was an awkward. No matter what, it was a very awkward play. It wasn't a. I'm not saying dirty or clean, but it wasn't just in the flow of the game hit. Something happened along the way that made that contact very awkward. And it's unfortunate that Crosby got injured on the play. And we certainly know Trouba has a history of making some hits like this. So I'm not going to say the intent wasn't there. I don't know if it was enough to be called dirty, but it was a hard hockey play. I need more angles on to make a decision.
Yeah,
but that's definitely a swinging point in the series at this point.
Yep, no, and I just watched it again, Ray. So yeah, Trouba has a history. So my gut reaction, for player safety's sake, is always to go, probably if you're not sure, lean toward yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell if he just throws an elbow or if he gets tied up with his stick a little bit, which kind of forces his arm up, if that makes sense. Yeah, from the angle that I'm looking at, it looks like he comes in. It looks like his stick is on top of Crosby's stick, and the stick's sliding up, which naturally your arm's going to go up. Now, it's definitely an elbow to the face. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Was it intentional? I have often said, at least to my wife and kid, when you're behind the goalie and you skate by him and you give him a stick or whatever, and you quote unquote accidentally did this or that. Like we have those guys, like, right, the Sean Avery's and all, who accidentally do these things that are really provocative
on purpose. Yeah,
on purpose. Trouba's a guy I wouldn't put that past. So I don't know if I still am inconclusive. Like, from what I've seen, I don't know that you can suspend him because I don't think it's obvious. Yeah. Versus another hit we'll talk about in a minute. But I mean, I think that may cost them the series, because I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Pittsburgh was the better team overall after the regular season. I thought the Rangers had this for sure. And now it's, I had Rangers over Pittsburgh. I said, whoever won game 3 is who I thought would win the series. So I will stick to that.
Yeah. You know what? And the Penguins without their top goaltender could still win. Dominguez played well. Like he's done a good enough job, a sufficient job to keep the team in it and get the victories and so forth. But they can't do it without Crosby as well. And they just can't. It's not going to go well. They're going back to New York. Yeah, right. The Rangers going to win Game 7 for this one. So I guess we've got one more left. We've got Dallas and the Calgary Flames. And even though I'm right here in Calgary and Michael's in Dallas Fort Worth, I'm gonna let you go first and make the prediction on this one. You are our guest. You take us through this one. Game 7, Dallas and the Calgary Flames. Where do you think this one is going?
Real fast. Last year, Shesterkin comes up huge tonight from New York. Rangers win.
There you go. Oh, did we skip you? I'm sorry.
All good.
Terrible.
All good. That's all I had. Shesterkin's going to be huge. If he's the Vezina winner, he's huge tonight. He's going to have a big. I don't know. I'm not going to call a shutout, but he's going to be mass. He's going to be the most important player on the ice for the Rangers. He's going to be big. As far as Dallas, Calgary, go Flames, go. I love the Flames here. I can't cheer for the local guys. I can't cheer for the stars. I just can't. I hate Ben. I hate Sagan. I hate Klingberg. I hate all of them. They drive me bonkers. Cannot stand them. The Flames have been one of the best stories in hockey all season long. Goudreau's been outstanding. Just the whole team. They're a super fun bunch to watch. I'm really enjoying what Elias Lindholm has developed into. It would have been really fun to see what he could have done under Brind'amour here in Raleigh. That wasn't meant to be, for the greater good, that trade. But I really like the Flames. The Sea of Red is going to be big tonight. I think it's just a little too much. Dallas is going to give them a fight. It's going to be a game for 2 periods, but the better team wins after 60 minutes. Flames going to win 4-2.
So Brad, while I go to the penalty box and feel shame for the terrible hosting job that I just did and cutting Mike out of the last prediction,
I'm cutting your pay for that. I'm taking away your bonus.
I'm going to continue feeling shame in the penalty box whilst you give your perception of this series.
I originally said Flames over Stars in 5 because I didn't think the Stars, had the intestinal fortitude, as Nick Foley used to say, for the WWE, formerly WWF fans in attendance. I think the Flames are going to win. The hit last night, Zadorov, as you all know,
Zadorov, yeah.
Yep.
He's like 6'11". So on one hand, I can go, okay, when you're that big, I can understand you clock the guy, but at the same time, hockey's a sport. If the players aren't willing to protect each other, DOPS has shown repeatedly for decades they will not. You got to pull up. You can't just drive your shoulder into a guy's face like that. I mean, you just can't. So I think I just want to be really clear. He should be suspended. That was just a bad hit all around. If you're Chara sized, you have to play knowing that, right?
Yep.
That all being said, I originally said Flames in 5. I didn't think the Stars could pull it off. I still don't think they can. I also think that the Flames might be the best shot, although the Blues looked really solid at taking out the Avalanche, which is the other. I have 2 things that want to happen in these playoffs. One is Canes go preferably to the Stanley Cup. 2, Avalanche go home as soon as possible. Those are the 2 things I'm looking for. Sorry, I know we do have a lot of Avs fans who follow the team, but that fan base has gotten awfully cocky here in the last 9 to 12 months.
And they've never even gone to the Western Conference Final with this group. Come on now.
I've said before, Mike. I don't know if you heard the episode. I get Avs fans who are like, "Oh, I can't hear you with my 2 Stanley Cup rings in my ears." I'm like, you have 2, and I'm a fan of a team that has 1, and none of us played on the ice. So I really don't understand this level of cockiness that
we got one.
Canes fans do that too, right?
Cares?
I mean, Canes fans do that. We've talked all year that we have a great hockey team, but if you're going to trash talk me, that's fine, but at least back it up with something better than that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we won the cup the first year in existence. I'm like, okay, so does that go to the Nordiques? Is that really a Nordiques win? Because it really wasn't you. I mean, you can throw whatever angles that you want. We're both behind the Leafs and the Habs and the Red Wings and the Bruins and the it feels like a fan base that's got a little taste of something and now wants to pee on the person below them.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm just not okay with that. So I know it's me being petty, but I've said before on the show, sometimes I think pettiness is fun. So
pettiness is great. I'm here for all the pettiness. That's why we watch this stuff. This isn't important stuff.
Yeah.
The pettier, the better. That's why we're here. It's the entertainment. Come on.
Yeah. And I'll jump out of the penalty box now. Look, this Flames. I did not have this one going very far either. I thought it was going to be very much like the Avs sweep of the Preds. I think I predicted it in 5 as well. Give Dallas Stars a game there. Ottinger. I mean, what more do you say? I mean, he's the reason why Dallas has gotten as far as they have. It's Ottinger. He's stood on his head, and he's going to have to do it again. You're right. The Sea of Red is going to be hopping. The Saddle Dome, it's a dump. Okay, it's a dump. They need a new, and they're trying to get a new building. It's a dump, so they will blow the roof off. But here's the funny thing about Flames fans. I'll say this. In the past, Game 7s in the past for the Flames in Calgary, the fans, while excited in the past, some of them go very quiet very quickly. I recall a game 7 against the Sharks where the tension was so much it made everyone clam up. It wasn't the fans going bonkers trying to be that sixth skater on the ice. They were so much tension that they were scared to quiet almost. And so it's going to be interesting. The Flames are the better team here. The Flames are the far better team here. And I'm looking at this going, why? I look at this series the same way I look at the Canes. How in the world did we get here? It shouldn't be here, but it is. And are the Flames going to bring their best game? I think they can. I think they will, but it's going to be a very, very tight contest. I do not suspect this one's going to go. I mean, it's going to be a 1-goal game again, and remarkably little scoring on in this series with a team like the Flames, who have been straight fire for most of the season. They can put a lot of pucks in the net, and Gaudreau would tell you. I mean, Gaudreau, Tkachuk, Mangiapane, they're putting the puck in the net, but they disappeared. We need them. We need them now. So we've gone around the league with their game 7s. We'll circle back to our game 7, the most important reason why we're here before we wrap things up. Predictions. Michael, take us away. Give us your prediction for game 7.
Canes 4-2, Aho game-winning goal early in the third period.
Just like that. Brad.
Boom.
Less of a prediction and more of if you shut down Marchand, Canes win. If you don't shut down Marchand, I'm not going to say the other thing, but it will be a lot more interesting and a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the Canes, I think, do just that. I think the Canes shut down Marchand. I agree. I think this is going to be another 4-2, 5-2 kind of game, just because 6 games in a row have done that. Like, why change now? Let's win this one 5-2.
Yeah, I see this one. I see this one like another famous game 7, a 3-1 victory. Hurricanes. Swayman has been good. He's going to bring the best that he's got. The fans, again, we've put the request out. I kind of figure it was already going to happen, but I'll put it out again. The fans can be the difference. The sixth skater, stand. You bought a seat to get in, but you don't have to use it. Sit during the intermissions and then stand and cheer your arses off, kids, because we need all the Caniacs and jerks firing. And I would love to see us get into this next round and exercise the Boston Bruin demon and move on, because we're looking at some great. We've got a great team here, and I'll say this: if we lose, not only will it be an upset, it'll be a disappointment, and it'll make this season a straight failure. A straight failure if they can't get past this series. And that's a harsh judgment. They've played well. They've been fantastic. They put up the most points that they ever have in team history in the regular season. You've got to get past the first round. Our team is too good to not get out of the first round. And that's
the good
a harsh
news is
judgment,
Brind'amour hates failure. I would not want to be in front of him.
Lord.
Today.
Oh, the pregame speech is going to be fantastic.
It is.
I can't wait to hear the stories of what Brind'amour told the team.
No question.
Hey, real fast. 2009, Game 7. Carolina wins. The next day, I left for vacation in Florida and shaved the playoff beard. What little bit of a playoff beard I could do then, look, I'm not doing it today. We're winning. Nothing's getting shaved. I've never been able to grow flow that's anywhere close to whatever this scruff is. I can't grow a beard, but I've come too far. We're not cutting it today.
There
Canes
you go.
7.
I love it. I absolutely love that. And look great too. I gotta say, it's filled in a little bit more than mine.
All gray.
Yeah,
it is visible on camera. It is there.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine's kind of there. You can kind of see, but I'm loving it. Let's hope the beards bring us in. And Brad, you got some breaking news?
I do. We were going to wrap up with that, but this came out less than a minute ago, according to The Athletic. Sidney Crosby and Tristan Jarry are practicing today for the Penguins. Do not know if they will be available tomorrow, but we just talked through the series. If either of those guys can play, that could change the entire. I mean, obviously getting Crosby back would be huge. The fact he's even able to skate today is a really good sign. Unfortunately, hockey players are the kinds of people who will play through a concussion if they can pass concussion protocol, which luckily is a medical choice. Like the players, they can't say, I don't care, I'm going to play. If they don't clear, they don't clear. The fact that Tristan Jarry is also practicing, I don't know that I would necessarily throw him right into the game, but the fact that both of those guys are on the ice for the Penguins today could be huge for tomorrow. So I just wanted to give you that breaking news.
Very big.
And that can just energize the team. That can say, hey, these guys are ready to come back. We win it for them. Then we've got them back and we're good to go. So that's
awesome.
That is big.
Awesome. I love breaking news in the Storm Cellar. It's fantastic. This has been an amazing episode. Michael Watson, thank you so much for joining us. You were straight fire today. You had awesome takes. I love the way you delivered it. Your hype, your jersey, the Stanley Cup patch, everything about it. Dude, we are definitely going to have you back in the Storm Cellar in the future. Thank you so much for being an amazing Caniac, an amazing jerk. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope the sweater can go 4-0 in Game 7s today. So
love
pulling out all the stops.
Obviously,
absolutely pull out all those stops. There, Brad, I was thinking we've done such a good job, wrapped up everything into a nice bow. There's not much else to say, is there?
Just go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey-related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.